I'm going to be introducing my winter project here, but I'm going to be sharing it in a different way. I'm laying out all the parts that I have, but the bulk of this project will be covered in a separate video series and playlist, which will be how to make a military rifle stock. It'll be following along the same lines as my Norwegian Krag restoration series, but this time I'm starting from the beginning. The reason for a separate stock making series is for people searching how to build a military rifle stock from scratch can find it, and not have the process and the tips and tricks along the way buried in a separate video series that might not be exactly what they're rebuilding. Though I'm going to be making a specific stock, I want it to be more universal so somebody making a stock for a different kind of rifle can follow along. I'm going to start with the wood selection, then move to the inletting, the shaping of the outside, and then the finishing. And later on, when that series on stack making is wrapped up, I'll turn back to this project here and post an update to this video of how it's coming together. And now that that's covered and I have all of my parts laid out, just what am I working on here? Well, if you know me and you know my favorite type of rifle, or you recognize some of the unique parts, or maybe you read the title of this video, it's a Krag. And specifically, it's a US model 1898 Krag Jorgensen. So let's take a look at the parts, how I got them, and I'm going to cover a little bit about the philosophy of building a rifle from parts. And that's the deal here. What you're seeing is a collection of parts. This isn't a sporterized rifle that's being rescued, nor is it a junk rifle that I'm restoring. I typically don't like to rebuild rifles from just parts, nor do I recommend it to others, but there are special circumstances where it could make sense. And that's the case here. It all started with this barreled action, which is the core of the project. I found it at a gun show a couple years ago. I picked it up and recognized it as a Krag and asked the price. When the vendor said just $20, I knew that I was jumping down a rabbit hole. And that's where rebuilding a rifle from parts could start to make sense, if the parts come cheap enough. And that's my first tip. I'll put up some pictures of the action when I first got it. I boiled and converted it, and now it looks like you see here. Most of the pitting was at the top. Likely it was stored upside down, maybe on concrete or cardboard or something else that could hold moisture. And if you've watched my videos, you may have seen this action before. I have a previous video on building the Parkhurst Zalinski indexing arm here, which I'll link down in the description. My second tip for building a parts rifle is patience. Wait for the right deal. And that goes along with my third tip, which is to get a parts rifle or a parts lot. Most of these parts came from a parts lot on an auction site that went for cheap. I was looking for sporterized Krags, but came upon a parts lot that had most of the parts that I needed. It looked like somebody stripped the receiver off of a sporterized Krag because it came with the bolt, most of the magazine except for the spring, the trigger and trigger guard, the screws, and the barrel band. It also came with a cut-down barrel with a sporter front sight and a cut-down stock, which is pretty ugly if you ask me. It also came with a rear sight, a model 1896 sight, which I no longer have because I sold it and used the proceeds to buy a 1902 sight. And I got all of that for just $105. The bolt alone would have cost that much if I bought it on its own. So wait and see if you're able to find a good deal by buying parts as a lot. From there, I was only missing a few odds and ends and ordered them from a site specializing in US rifle parts. I bought a band screw, a sling swivel, ejector, magazine spring, sight blade, a front band, and butt plate. All of which nearly cost me the same as the parts lot I bought before. My last tip, or maybe it's not really a tip, and it's definitely easier said than done, is to make your own stock. If I went out and bought a US Krag stock and handguard, that would probably cost me around $500, maybe more. Add in the cost of all the parts, and I might as well just buy a complete rifle at that price. So my ace in the hole, if you will, to be able to piece this rifle together for not much money at all, is to make my own stock. And with that, I'm going to get working on the stock. Stay tuned for updates, although like I said, the stock making will be its own series. Thanks for watching.